Moving on to activating the glutes. So if you want to prepare yourself to do your front splits, this is a really nice way to activate your glutes really quickly. So in a kneeling position, you're going to put your back foot against the wall, press your shin into the wall, and you're going to use that wall as resistance to keep your hip in a neutral position while you activate the glute. Because of this, the movement is going to be very, very small, but very efficient. And doing up to 10 counts on both sides. So you can also do this standing, for the reason that in the kneeling position, it's a little bit harder to keep your core muscles engaged. If you struggle with that, come to standing on the wall with a bent knee and go there. That way you can't cheat and dip into your lower back. Nice. Once again, we're going to use this 90-90 stretch to release the glutes and the IT bands. Folding forward. Okay, now that the IT bands and glutes are a little bit looser, we're going to activate the glute med by lifting the heel in tiny pulses away from the floor. Shoot to do about 10 to 15 of these. You'll notice that it feels like your hip wants to rotate inwards, but your knee is keeping it from doing that. And then in the opposite, so keeping the heel and the toes connected to the floor, lifting the knee. This is a little bit of that abduction external rotation. And shoot to do about 10 to 15 of these as well. And both sides, switching sides. Coming forward, releasing the IT band, piriformis. If you need something deeper, you can always do a full pigeon stretch. You can also do a fire log. Just getting prepared for what's about to come. And making your way back up. Here we go. So just lifting the toes. This one's harder for most people, while trying to keep the hips from moving. And aiming about 10 to 15 on this side as well. Small movement, small muscle getting activated. And other directions. The external rotation, abduction, lifting the knee. If it doesn't really want to lift away from the floor, that's okay. The fact that you're trying to do it is what matters most. And then you can untuck the toes here. We're going to come to a modified butterfly. It's okay if your knees don't touch the floor, and we're just going to keep one foot tucked inside the other and bring the chest straight down and forward. We'll go for about 15 seconds on the first set, and then we'll switch our feet as we come up. So that modified butterfly, whatever foot was outside, bring it in. And one more time, taking a little breather, folding forward. Relaxing here. So all these movements are very articulated and small, as this is a morning warm-up. We don't want to go really extreme, no bouncing or anything like that, but just activating the smaller supportive muscles so that we can still have a nice deep stretch without getting super burnt out and sweaty and still leaving us with some energy for the day. The next stretch is a full butterfly. So if this is really intense for you, you can always put your knees on blocks. Another way to advance the stretch is to put your back against the wall. You can also push your elbows down to your knees to try to open up a little bit deeper. And then come on out. So I'm going to hold onto one ankle with the opposite arm. If this is tough for you, don't worry about holding onto your foot. If you really want to try to, you can also sit on a block. And even though you can't see it here, my hand is reaching towards my foot. If your hand doesn't reach or connect to your foot, that's okay. You can always grab something to bridge the gap, like a towel or a yoga strap. But what's most important is that the side body is long and you're breathing down into that top lower rib. Come on out and switching sides. I'm just going to grab opposite hand to foot, trying to push that knee back as I rotate my chest to the floor. Use your bottom forearm to push into the floor. Try to push your tricep into your inner thigh to open up here. If you feel this is really intense on your hamstring, on the straight leg, it's okay to bend the knee. You could put something under there. And same as the other side. If it's really difficult to grab your foot, that's okay. You can either sit on a block, you can also just tuck that foot underneath you and half butterfly. And coming on out. So for this one, we're going to come to a straddle stretch. But what I want you to do first is to do the straddle stretch with your knees bent. And you're going to rotate your feet out as much as you can. So try to get the knife edge, the pinky toe side of your foot on the floor, and reach forward. It is really helpful here if you could grab onto like a pole or like the leg of a coffee table, something that's heavy, so that you could keep your back straight. And come on up. Now you can go ahead and straighten out your pancake as much as you can. Notice now that I'm still rotating the outside of my feet to the floor as I reach forward. And if I were closer to the pole, I could pull on the pole or the underside of a couch. If you can't touch your chest to the floor, put a block underneath your chest so that you can actually relax while you're here. And if this is too easy, put blocks underneath your feet. Just a couple more seconds. And crawl your way on out of that. So here comes those middle splits. I'm going to come into a half frog. So putting a block on the outside of my mat, I'm going to flex my foot and put my toes forward. In the back foot, the heel is going to be in line with the knee. And notice I'm tucking and tilting my pelvis here. So I'm tucking underneath, trying to bring my belly button up to the ceiling, and then I'm tilting my pelvis, lifting my tailbone up. I'm going to do that about 10 times. And all I'm doing here is I'm just rotating those femur bones inside the sockets to get all the sticky, crunchy stuff out of the way so those tendons can glide in the way that I want them to, so that I can come deeper into this middle split. Now, if you have any issues with your knees, like a former ACL tear, be careful with this. I would rather you do just a prone frog, like the left half of my body, keeping the knee bent, or putting something underneath the inside of the extended legs, so something underneath the right knee, like your block, or something, maybe something softer if there is an old injury there. So be mindful that knees are very sensitive. And guess what? Same thing on the other side. Placing that block about a leg's distance away. Set yourself up, toes forward. Make sure your quad is engaged and active to support all those tiny tendons around your knee capsule. And we're going to flex the back foot and line the heel up with the knee. And going for a tuck and tilt. So tuck here and tilt. Exhale, tuck, inhale, tilt. And going for about 10 of those tuck tilts. So some options here. As you finally rest into this position and you start to go deeper, you may want to come down face to the floor if you don't want to stay on your elbows. And if you want to make this even more intense, you can come up to your hands and arch your lower back. It's going to feel like someone just pushed down onto your shoulders. It almost feels like someone just put 20 pounds extra weight on you. Well, because they did, because your torso is pretty heavy now that it's over your hips. Here we're going for a lower back arch. So it's almost like you're trying to touch your head to the tail that's growing out of your tailbone. This is a much deeper expression, so be careful. And make your way on out. So coming into that prone frog position, if you needed to modify, this would be the position for you. Or you can come into your full middle split position. And advancing the stretch here, try bent elbows and pulling your upper torso up and then head back. Now, if you have trouble keeping your heels from coming together in a prone frog, try this. Find your frog at the wall. Same thing, line your heels up with your knees, and because your feet are now pushing into the wall, they really can't slide towards each other. This may be a test of patience for you, but it works. Whatever expression works. If you want to come down, chest to the floor and push here. Maybe try some of those tuck and tilts while you're in this position. And then make your way out. From here, we're going to come facing the wall. Now this is for those of you that are looking to really get that middle split nice and flat. Over time, the space between your body and the wall will get shorter and shorter as you become more flexible in your middle split. And start